The final form of the contentious Treaty Principles Bill has been revealed as it was introduced to the House today. And after reading it, Te Pāti Māori called the government treasonous. Here's senior political correspondent Jenna Lynch.
A small but passionate group. Advance guard of the hikoi, which will begin this weekend.
This hikoi will be generational.
The hikoi was to coincide with the introduction of the Treaty Principles Bill, but the government pulled what some say is a swiftie and changed the date. So a small group with some of our smallest citizens showed up today.
I sort of had a feeling that this was going to happen, knowing that our dates for the hikoi were up and floating around social media.
Is represented in small numbers today. We have a hikoi that is coming, which will be the true representatives of the Indigenous people of New Zealand.
Zane Wedding drove 10 hours from Auckland to be here.
But because we've all been working so hard and because they intend to read it today, it was really important to us that we still show up and show that there will be resistance at every level.
Even getting a thumbs up and a pat on the back from the Governor of the Reserve Bank.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
Neither the Prime Minister nor the bill's author in Parliament for its introduction.
It's absolutely gutless.
I think it's a very exciting day, and it will be looked back on as the time that the treaty debate was democratised.
Not only were they scared of the hikoi, I think they're scared of the size and the backlash.
Te Pāti Māori attempting to block the bill's introduction.
That this House honours Te Tiriti o Waitangi and withdraws the Treaty Principles Bill. The Treaty Principles Bill also violates the constitutional relationship between the Crown and Māori and undermines the legitimacy of this House.
Questioning whether redefining the principles amounted to treason.
Yeah. It is now up for us as a nation to decide, is this government committing treason? Because it has absolutely no mandate from Māori and none from the sovereign, from the Crown.
The idea that we've committed treason, they can't be serious about that.
And so this could be bordering on treasonous because he hasn't consulted with the Governor-General, who is the Crown's representative here. He hasn't consulted with King Charles himself, who the agreement is actually with. And so that is a problem.
That's an interesting point, I guess.
Isn't it?
There's a thing called Dominion Day. You could Google that while I'm talking about it. New Zealand has a day that we don't actually really celebrate. It's called Dominion Day. I have a feeling it's in September, and it's basically when we got Dominion and the Crown took on all the responsibilities that was with the King or Queen. Did you Google it? Does it come up? NZ Dominion Day? No? It's got a date. It's a thing. But we just don't acknowledge it at all. So it's an interesting point he makes, but I think that's covered off when we're given Dominion. Nothing? Anything? Nothing? Bueller? Okay, I'll keep going.
Problem.
Accusing who of treason?
The government.
Oh, okay. I think that's very strong language. I don't think that we're in that space.
Government waving away the criticism for another day. The first reading of the bill will happen in a week.
There you go, Chewy. Dominion Day in New Zealand. 26 September 1907. On the 26th of September 1907, the colony of New Zealand ceased to exist. New Zealand became a dominion within the British Empire. For a few years, some New Zealanders celebrated Dominion Day on 26 September. And I think part of becoming that was, the government taking on all those responsibilities that the king or queen had before them. Anyway, Chewy, yours, sir.
I hate how Seymour has framed the treaty. Like the specific phrase he used was the democratization of the treaty. That is not how they work. That's not how treaties have ever worked. I didn't get a vote in like the ANZUS treaty. I don't get a vote in free trade agreements. I don't get a vote in our foreign policy. I vote for the governments that make those. But the idea of, we have to democratize a treaty from the 1840s, which is like our foundational treaty, something that is fucking more or less unique in colonized countries, that we have this agreement to start with. And he's fiddling around the edges to say that something that has been thrashed out in the tribunals of lawyers and experts and historians, people that have interpreted what this treaty means and how it would be applied in this country. And I thought just recently we were starting to get our heads around it, that it is something that permeates everything the government does. I hate how he tries to frame it as something that is racist. That it's an agreement between races. It is not. It is an agreement between the Indigenous people of New Zealand and those, well, I was going to say those that came after, but it's not even that. It's the Crown. It is the Crown. And the Crown is the government now. It is not between Māori and everybody else. It is not between Māori and white people. It is not between Māori and Indians or Chinese or Americans, well, sure, are coming here in huge numbers. It has nothing to do with that, but he wants people to believe it. He wants people to draw the line of making laws based on someone's ancestry never works. And he wants people to fill in the gaps going, South Africa, apartheid. It is not apartheid. He talks about allocating resources based on race is wrong. It would be if that was the only thing. I want to go to Seymour. You acknowledge that it should be based on need. Should we look at the ethnicity of the people that are most at need? Should we look at whether there's a trend there? Why are Māori represented in some of this country's worst statistics? Because my fear is every time you say that it shouldn't be based on race, it should be based on need, and the people that need it the most just happen to be of a particular race, that you are sitting there going, it is like that because of their race. That's just the way they are.
Could you imagine a bunch of New Zealanders moving to America? Let's say over the next 100 years, heaps of New Zealanders turned up to America. And we went, let's democratize the Constitution. I think we should all get a say in what it is. Maybe we should get that Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and democratize it. We should all get a say. Because he used that word, didn't he? Or you all have a say, where everyone gets a say. We should all have a say. If you said that to David Seymour, he would say that's ridiculous. And you're like, yeah. So why does it make sense here? And the only thing he'll come back to is because he says it's about race. It's not about race, but that's what he says.